legend of the Dinka and Nuer tells how when God asked them to choose cattle or guns, they chose cattle, while the Arabs and Westerners went for the guns. But for decades now, guns and cattle have lived together, which since 2013 has endured a bloody civil war between these two ethnic groups.
The situation is really bad, and it's getting worse. Currently, about 50,000 people a month are leaving South Sudan, and there are about 1.6 million people living outside of the country. Inside the country, nearly 2 million people are displaced.
The rainy season has arrived. The ground becomes fertile, but because of the civil war, tens of thousands of people cannot work the fields, and so have no food. The emergency is being dealt with by the United Nations and dozens of international organizations.
And encouraging the leadership here to grant greater access in the conflict, please. If we end the conflict, then we have enough funds to achieve the objectives and feed the people. But with the conflict as it is, and now the rainy season is coming upon us, and that means we have a much more difficult job pre-positioning food, and so our teams have been pre-positioning the food in the very difficult areas you can't get to once the rainy season hits in.
As they are providing direct assistance, food aid to the population in the areas under conflict, basically, we do, let's say, complementary work based in other areas that are not exactly under the acute conflict.
An enormous task this, rendered difficult by the fighting and the lack of dialogue between the opposing sides.
But that still begs the question of lack of funding that we need for the remainder of the year, and that could be a catastrophic situation here. Famine's already been declared in 2 counties. We're on the brink of famine in many other locations in this country, and many people, 5 million people already, are looking for food on a daily basis.
But the local leadership that is governed by President Salva Kiir Mayardit is not interested in the appeals of the United Nations. On March 18, the feast of the SPLA, the Sudan People Liberation Army, Salva Kiir used words of fire against his opponents.
In the last 3 years, we have seen how the forces of Europe have tried to bring down our country. They are bent on trying to write the history and drive the way among our people. They have even gone as far as portraying our historical army, the SPLA, as an ethnic army. However, we are all fully aware that our military is comprised of all South Sudanese from every ethnic group in the country.
This is what remains of the Terrain Hotel, the compound attacked on June 11, 2016 by about 100 government soldiers. Doors torn off, bullet holes everywhere, broken windows. That rendered the idea of what happened during 3 hours of terror that saw the soldiers savage men and women, gang rapes, injuries and torture, a journalist killed in cold blood.
Yeah, before the eyes of, because it has been reported, let me just correct, it has been reported, by UN agencies that they have spotted people in uniform raping women around UN compound. We are in uniform, the UN army is in uniform. So it is not specific in this case. But otherwise, all of us need to be investigated. But one thing is that UNMISS has a mandate to protect or assist the government of South Sudan to protect the citizens. What was their role when they were witnessing, people in uniform raping women around their vicinity? Did they take any measures? In criminal procedure, if you are seeing a crime happening before your eyes and you have a mandate, you don't intervene, then you are part of crime. So this is what is happening.
I call it the Titanic situation. You've got when the Titanic hit the iceberg, where was the crew? Well, one was working on a broken chair, one was fixing a leaky faucet, one was fixing a leaking toilet, one was cleaning the countertop. Nobody was focused on where the ship was going. And right now, we're all hands on deck with the 4 famines, and possibly serious financial cutbacks. So we're trying to make sure we don't hit the iceberg. In the meantime, I've got teams beginning to work on these questions because we know we go into very risky areas all over the world, but we need to minimize that risk for the safety of our teams, and 2, for the protection of these very valuable commodities like the one you're just talking about.
Well, I think it is very unfortunate that our president does not listen. Our president does not cooperate with his own citizens. Much of the displacement, killing, destruction, it is truly done by the SPLA, the army of the government. And it is the government who is responsible, not the evil forces. There is no evil forces. And I want to assure you there is no evil forces. It is the mentality of the president, it is the mentality of the ruling party, it is the mentality of the SPLA, SPLM, who created this mess. The same day when we were praying, they killed a pastor of the Episcopal Church in Ye. They killed a pastor.
The same harsh words come from the leaders of the Episcopal Church of South Sudan, who, through the Bishop of Ye, tell what is happening outside Juba.
July 2016, the crisis arrived in Ye, and it in a very serious, negative way. It pushed out people from Ye because there were a lot of threats, and there was a lot of rumor going on of an imminent big war which was going to happen in Ye. And this made the people of Ye to leave the town. And actually, incidences of killing took place in Ye. People were shot in town. Everybody knew this, and it was not a secret. Even the government was aware of this thing. We have raised this to the government, that people were being killed in Ye. Within that period of July, when the crisis started in July, it was a very serious situation. There was dire need for security. There was no security in Ye.
All these declarations find confirmation in the words of refugees in different camps around the capital. This is POC 3, inside which more than 42,000 people live in terrible hygienic conditions.
زمان جينا داخل جينا بعربات أيام المشاكل ده الضبط بتاع يدوب شنا الجيش كان جودر الجرارات جينا.
I came with my 2 brothers. On the way they stopped the car, they have taken my 2 brothers, whereby I don't know up to now where they have taken them. So I reached to Juba, I have nowhere to go. Somebody told me there's a church here, can help people. Now I'm just alone with my 3 children.
Bodies covered in rags, misery everywhere, flies, fires on which they cook grass torn from the fields. and anywhere at all will do to rebuild the semblance of a village and an apparently normal life, like these refugees from the north, from Tarakeka, who live among the tombs of a cemetery, like a horror film, where horror has become reality.
Families continue to experience shocks. They're not just displaced once, they're displaced multiple times and affected by violence over and over again.
Yeah, also last day, also there are fight there, terrible fighting, whereby it kill a lot of people. More especially me, even having four brothers was being killed.
We manage psychosocial support programs, which are very community-based, community-focused. We're focused less on trauma and more in enabling communities to rebuild the social fabrics that they've seen tore apart, readjust to a very different life, suddenly living in a very crowded POC site when that wasn't your life before, with strangers, people you don't know. Maybe you lost your spouse, your children aren't in school and you're not sure of their future, and enabling people to help each other in a safe environment.
Quando i bambini praticamente sono malnourished, il problema è che nella vita poi non si sviluppano normalmente. Un bambino normale è attivo, canta, si muove, il bambino malnourished sta seduto, tranquillo e quindi non si sviluppa mentalmente. E nella vita può diventare un bambino con ritardo.
Small spaces here. The baby is severe minority.
The South Sudanese churches, to deal with the emergency and stop the war, decided to work together to provide an ecumenical answer. They also drew up proposals for a peace plan.
Noi come Chiesa, come Council of Churches, siamo in questo impegno attraverso l'Action Plan for Peace, azioni programmate per la pace, che ha 3 capitoli. La prima è advocacy, come parlare al popolo sudsudanese, di cambiare il senso che hanno di vendetta, di violenza, verso il senso della pace. Poi abbiamo piano numero 2 che è Neutral Forum, uno spazio libero dove il popolo sudsudanese possono dialogare. Oggi abbiamo paura perché quello che dico, vero com'è, mi costerà la vita.
Now, when we as churches came together with the Catholic Church, my brother Bishop at Calano, the Catholic Church Bishop, myself and another bishop of another church, we came up with a plan of putting the church together instead of being different denominations, to give out the leverage of speaking out as one voice to the world. And then we formed our committee, which is the Ecumenical Emergency Relief Committee. And now we came up with an appeal to the world, to UN agencies, international organizations.
Il terzo piano è il piano di riconciliazione, che è molto dura, quello è veramente complicato, perché tutti noi abbiamo subito. Noi come Chiesa cerchiamo attraverso il dialogo nelle periferie, nei villaggi, nelle città sud-sudanese, per arrivare a un punto di incontro. Abbiamo tante diversità, ma c'è qualcosa comune che uniscono il paese che si chiama Sud Sudan. Siamo tutti sud-sudanesi.
Stopping the call of blood, stopping the hatred that pushes human beings to hurt their neighbor because they are different.